Okay, I'm about to give you the down low on the journey of traveling from Northern Idaho through Canada to Fairbanks, Alaska. Alright, this is the full documentary video of my journey, to include pictures, videos, prep and safety tips, fun Canada facts, and observations post-trip. Hello, I am thankful. That is who I am. That is my name. No, it's not really my name, but let's just call it my YouTube name, because I'm thankful to God. I am thankful that Jesus protected me on this crazy journey, and I pray that you ask Him also to do the same for you as you are about to drive to Alaska. So on prep and safety, first off, did you prepare your phone service to be active while in Canada? Mine offered an automatic 0.5 gigabytes a day to be used in Canada, which was enough for me. Also, did you bring your phone charger for both your car and for your hotel stay? That's a good question. Also for preparation, did you plan your main stops and book your hotels in those stops a few days in advance to be sure you can get them? I want to show you a map. Okay, so I don't specifically have a map on me of the trip currently. However, I drew one out real quick of the journey that I took. So I started in Northern Idaho. I departed at 6 a.m. in Coeur d'Alene area, and then moved up 95 into Alberta, Canada. Once 95 came up, it connected then to where I could go west on 93, also called Canada 1. So don't get that confused, because most of the time they call it Canada 1. After Canada 1, we continue through and you'd hit 16, you'd hit 40 and 43. But before you get to 16, there's a long journey on 93 through Alberta. Well, actually, the 16, 40, 43 come at the end before Hinton. But there's a long stretch there to where you will see a bunch of snowy mountains, and it is breathtaking. It's also kind of scary because you're out there and the mountains are huge and giants to you as you travel. And it's important to know that there is one gas station on that route. One gas station is before you even get to Hinton. Now I got Hinton laid out here because that is my first stop of 3. Take me 3 days to get there essentially. Starting at 6 a.m., I arrive at night or before it gets dark actually, around 5 p.m. in Hinton, and it's about 10 or 11 hours. And then 10 or 11 hours, I continue to Fort Nelson. I stop there at the northern edge of British Columbia. And then my next trip is about 10 hours to Whitehorse in the Yukon. And then after that, another 10 hours or so to Alaska to finally get to Fairbanks. Now, I highly recommend that if you are going to be driving to Alaska through Canada, of course, that's the only way to get there with driving, you're going to want to drive during the summer, or at least when there's not snow on the roads. And I highly recommend driving during the day only. That's the safest way to take. Also for preparation. Your car preparation. Just get something to consider. Did you get an oil change? A friend of mine actually recommended something very good: mosquito netting. To put mosquito netting in front of the grill, and then you use double-sided tape to secure that on there. And that is to prevent all the bugs from getting right into your radiator, and it's a lot less to clean out, and it's also better for performance. Another thing is a grill guard. I wanted to put one on my truck, but it wouldn't come in the mail in time, so I actually didn't get around to getting that one on. I'll get that one on later. A gas can, that's very important. I have a 5-gallon gas can that I filled up with fuel and put in the back, and especially when there's such a stretch, from town to town and for getting fuel, I highly recommend that for emergencies. I actually ended up using it, but that's also my call, and you'll see in a video later on. Emergency equipment. You definitely want all your emergency equipment. You know, road flares. You know, I had a tire iron, industrial grade, as well as a jack that I brought with me, just in case. Food and water. You want plenty of food and water stored up in your vehicle to last you, even if you get stuck for a little while, like a week's worth of food, perhaps, depending on how long you're expected to take the journey. A gun registration. That's something that's part of the preparation process in getting into Canada, as well as the CAN app that you're is mandatory to have at this time, early June of 2022. But with gun registration, I mean, I had my rifles registered, and all of them for 25 Canadian dollars, as well as the registration form I had filled out, but the thing wasn't printed right. They provided me the correct copies that were fully printed properly, and I was able to fill this out. They are strict about pistols. Pistols are restricted, so I was bummed out. Couldn't bring mine, I had to ship it a different way. But because that would be a great thing for self-defense, the best thing for self-defense that I could think of. But instead, I had some other things like knives and so forth for self-defense if necessary. The safety elements, well, that I already just mentioned one of them. You want to have something for self-defense, but also you want to drive with the headlights on the whole time. Do you have GPS or not on your vehicle that's driven by satellite? Some vehicles have that. Mine didn't have it, unfortunately, to where it could connect to the satellite radio and have GPS during the whole drive. That would have been nice, but I could connect to my phone and it displayed a map, which was nice. You won't have phone service the majority of the time. There will be medium to large towns that will give you cell phone service. For me, it was just roaming, but it was enough to use if necessary while I was in those towns very shortly. Then as soon as I exit it, it's gone. So it was very brief there in those towns. You got to watch out, like I said, for bandits. Well, I don't know if I said that yet, but there, friends of mine told me that, hey, there are bandits on the road. You want to be careful. You got to change your situational awareness to where, you know, I myself am overly compassionate, and so I had to turn that meter to be more cautious. And there was an incident to where I believe somebody was a bandit, and I didn't fall for it, thank God. Kept moving on, and I'll mention that in another video. Animals. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of animals on the road driving through this terrain. Just be mindful to watch out for them. The nice part is that Canada does have huge clearings on both sides of the road. So when you're driving during the day, that's another advantage during the day, that you will be able to see animals from afar. Let's see here. I want to provide you also with some fun facts before we get started here on this journey. So, first fun fact is that in Canada they drive kilometers per hour. We drive miles per hour. They drive kilometers per hour. There's a significant difference. You need to know that. You look on your speedometer, you will see that there's a little km/h, that's kilometers per hour. That's the one you go by. Pretty simple. 1 mile per hour is about 1.6 kilometers, so there's a big difference there. 1 meter is less than a yard, I think. And then 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. The military calls a kilometer a click, fun fact. It is used for navigation mainly. I don't think they use it for anything else. Another fact, Canadians seem to really admire England, and I am thankful though that even though that is the case, they still choose to drive on the right side of the road. So that's cool, because I'm used to that. You should be too. So number 3, I would say that Yukon is to Canada as the Outback is to Australia. So with that in mind, obviously protect yourself with the right mindset and the right gear, right? Because you're entering an area where you can't be called upon. Well, no, you can't call upon anybody really for emergencies. Like, you're really kind of on your own, which I'll bring up again in a moment. Number 4, Canadians speak English, and some also speak French Canadian, but most of the French-speaking elements are over on the eastern side of Canada. It's kind of split down the middle. Number 5, Canada is organized in large subsections. On that note, subsections of land called provinces, or some may call them territories or regions or zones or something along those lines. But the point is that you'll be traveling, if you take a similar route as me, you'll be traveling through 3 of those provinces: Alberta, British Columbia, and the Yukon. Now, number 6, fun fact. Canadians say A, you probably already know that. They say that at the end of conversational sentences. Kind of like we say man, dude, cool, sweet, K, yo. Yeah, we say a lot of different things as well. And that's just a common way of speaking, kind of like their slang. Number 7, Canadians are generally friendly to you if you are friendly to them also. Except Clarence. At the north end of BC, British Columbia, there's a guy who reminded me of Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life, because he had bushy, gray, silvery eyebrows that raised up, and I thought that was awesome. And I told him, and I'm like, "You seen It's a Wonderful Life, right?" He's like, "Yeah," but he was kind of grumpy because it took me a few seconds to figure out how to use the gas pump, because I went in there and he said, "Well, you got to go out there and tell me what came on the counter." So the gas pump, when you turn the switch, it starts a counter on those old pumps, and then I tell him how much gas I pumped, and so that was fun. Oh yeah, and they also call gasoline petro. You'll see petro, that's gasoline. Okay, moving into observations. All right, so in observations, the border Mounties, they still wore masks in, like I said, it's early June 2022 when I saw that, and they also expect you to go in, if you're going into the building, wearing a mask. So that's an expectation. Bring those, even though we don't, we're kind of getting away from those in the US. Obviously, you download the CAN app, like as I talked to you about before. Prepare for the border crossing. This is actually mandatory at the time. It may change. There's no preparatory signs for gas throughout Canada, except for there's a couple of preparatory signs for gas and other things in the Yukon, but I didn't see any in Alberta or in British Columbia. And I was concerned because driving through Alberta, going through the Snowy Mountains area, I was like, is there going to be a gas station? And then finally there was a sign that said 2 kilometers out. I'm like, oh, excellent. I watched and it's about 2 kilometers, but then there's a road that turned right. I'm like, I'm just going to check real quick. No, it's not on that road that turns right. You stay on 93, and it's right after that road that turns right, and there's gasoline. Definitely fill up right there. I would not pass that fuel checkpoint, even though it's expensive. It's like $2.83 a liter or something like that, which brings me to the next point. I think it's like 3.785 liters for a gallon. So yeah, gasoline on the low end in Canada is about $8 a gallon. On the higher end, like there, that gas station mentioned, about $11 a gallon. So that's quite a bit, so expect to pay quite a bit for your gasoline in Canada. When I got across the border in Alaska, I'm like, oh sweet, less than $6 a gallon, that is awesome. And in the inland states, we're complaining about above $4 a gallon, right? Another thing is, so off the Alberta 93, also called Canada 1, there's a 200-mile stretch through the Snowy Mountains and be mindful of that. It seems like it goes a long ways, and it does go a long ways, and those mountains are huge, but you will get through them if you keep going. You'll see a lot of cyclists in that area. Well, I saw one cyclist wearing a sign that said Florida to Alaska. Wow, what a feat. Florida to Alaska. That is the longest cycling route I've ever heard of. So I'm going to look out for that person, see if I can find them on YouTube or something. There are no mile markers. No mile markers on Canadian roads. I'm like, what is up with this? No mile markers. So how exactly do you pinpoint how do they pinpoint your location in emergency when there's no cell service or mile markers? Yeah, that's kind of the point I'm telling you here. Be prepared and avoid getting into any situation where there's an emergency. Have your own emergency kit. Be as prepared as possible. Travel with somebody if possible. I myself was crazy enough to go alone with my little dog. Yeah, don't recommend. You will see people swerving off the roads right there, beginning in that snowy mountain area on 93. They'll swerve off roads, slam on their brakes because they see a bear. I would go by. I went by on those times. I saw the bear and all, but I'm not gonna slam on my brakes and potentially cause an accident when you can't get reached for an emergency. So anyway, something to be mindful of. There's no preparatory signs for construction, except for perhaps sometimes 2 kilometers out. So like I literally came up upon a sign in British Columbia, and it was a stoplight sign thing for construction that said, but I don't see any construction workers. They were like way ahead, and I'm like, is this some sort of prank to just get you to stop in the middle of the highway and just see how long you'll wait here? Well, there was a truck inside of me. I went and asked the trucker. He said, no, this is real, it's legit. So I'm like, okay, I backed back up, got back in line, waited about 10 minutes, and then the light turned green, and then we proceeded. Another neat observation is that they actually have outhouses and trash and recycle cans every like 40 to 100 miles, which is really cool. And they also, this does a good job in keeping Canada clean too, which I love that. As I mentioned in another video, there's a specific area I want to make mention of, that there are huge whoopties like up and down on the road where it launches you up in the air if you're going too quick, and potholes and craters mixed with those from the beautiful Destruction Bay, it's called. It's actually really pretty, but I don't know why they call it that. Destruction Bay to Tok, T-O-K, Alaska. So from the Yukon, in Destruction Bay, Yukon, to Tok, Alaska. So those are my observations. I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. I have plenty of pictures and video. If you watch it through, it could very well save your life, or at least prepare you. the thnee trees grew back from where that dude cut him down from the thorax. Beautiful British Columbia. They're searching for food. It's a porcupine. Beautiful mountain in BC. The summit. Stone Mountain in Summit Lake. Interesting, the Summit Cafe was once bumping here. Motel. How beautifully clear this water is. Gorgeous. Looks like a goat.
Look into my heart and see what my love you are to me. Look into my heart and see what my love you are to me.
Got some bison up here. Wild bison. What in the world? That's crazy. Hey bison, what's up?
Look into my heart and see what my love you are to me. Look into my heart and see what my love you are to me.
Okay, so I'm now in the Yukon, and you can see some differences. For instance, the clearing, you can see that there's some brush overgrowth. Seems like you can see the tree line there. So there was still the clearing, but I think it's just like so much to manage in the Yukon for the brush clearing to be mowed down that it can't be kept up. You can see the snowy mountains in the distance there. So far, all the breathtaking views in British Columbia almost beat out everything, I think. I don't know. I mean, there's something unique about in Alberta, the beautiful snowy mountains that are huge all around you as you drive through there. They're like big snowy giants as you drive through, and there's just so many of them that you're snapping pictures, you can't stop snapping pictures. At some point, you're just like, okay, I can't keep pulling over and snapping pictures. I just got to keep going through. So, anyway, it's gorgeous. Mostly, a lot of this tree line is what you're seeing in Yukon so far. I'm only about an hour in. Well, I think it was like 12 to 13 hour drive or something all the way through British Columbia. Alberta, I don't know, I think I started Northern Idaho, it's about 6 hours or so. Anyway, it's looking good. I'll keep you up to date and post more on whatever comes here in Yukon. Okay, that is a taste of beauty right there. You can hear the water from here. Okay, you see this sign behind me that says maximum 100? You might be thinking, oh yeah, I get to go 100 miles per hour. No, that's not what that means. Here in Canada, they work off of kilometers per hour. Kilometers, 1,000 meters per hour. Yeah, you can see it on your gauge. It says KH or km/h is kilometers per hour. The smaller numbers on your speedometer, that's what it's talking about right there. So 100 kilometers an hour is roughly 62 miles per hour. And so about, for every 1 mile, there's about 1.6 kilometers involved in that 1 mile. So that gives you a reference. The Canadians are very kind to show you this sign here for when there's bumps in the road. And they could be little bitty small bumps, or they could be occasionally really large bumps or giant craters that you need to go around. Okay, so I gotta give you 3 takeaways. First off, when you reach the Yukon, after you get past Destruction Bay, there are tons of whoopties in the road where you go down and up and it almost launches your vehicle basically. So you have an older vehicle, be very careful because, I mean, it could potentially break an axle because there's also a combination potholes with it. So be sure to dodge those too and be very careful and watch for oncoming traffic and all that kind of stuff. So that's the first one. Second one is when passing people. For some reason there are cars who like to go really slow below the speed limit. I think that's probably because of some sort of fuel consumption reduction strategy. You know, they're trying to reduce their fuel consumption, most likely. But anyway, when you pass them, you need to make sure that you have plenty of room. You need to look way ahead, make sure it's a full opening, even if it's a striped lane, giving you the kind of the go-ahead to pass. Look around the car. If there's a curve up ahead or a possibility where a vehicle could come up, don't pass them. You gotta wait until there's a very wide opening, and then you wanna you want to gun it past them. Slow passing doesn't work here. I tried it, and boy, it almost cost me. Slow passing does not work here. I mean, because you could see no cars on the other side of the road for 20, 40 miles, and then all of a sudden, when you get behind a slow vehicle and you try to pass them around that very next corner, or coming right up, there's a vehicle coming. Yeah, the odds are like astounding. I'm winning the bad news jackpot all the time. So watch out for that, because the bad news jackpot is all around up here. So that's the second one. Well, on that second one, most people are pretty nice. Those slow moving vehicles are also pretty courteous. So they will put on the right signal to say, hey, you could pass me, that's fine. I'll get over to the side a little bit, give you some more room. But sometimes I'll do that too soon too, where it's a striped line. You're like, yeah, there's not enough space there for me to see clearly far enough ahead. I'm not going to pass you. I'm going to wait until there's a clear way up long space. And then sometimes there's those jerks. Came across one of those in Yukon, and some guy with a Dodge truck pulling either a utility trailer or a camper trailer. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But anyway, he's going slow the whole time. And I finally find a big enough opening, which I believe to be is a plenty big enough opening to pass him. And I started, speeding up to pass him. And he started speeding up. He went 20 miles an hour faster just to not let me pass. And then, sure enough, up ahead, I see a vehicle coming around the corner. And so I had to speed up even more to pass over and get over in time. And tell you what, my goodness. Anyway, that's the second one. The third one is some friends forewarned me that there are bandits out here, and that is a very serious concern. I believe I could have been a victim of one had I not turned my extremely compassionate meter over to more cautious, because so after Whitehorse there's a small town, and then after that small town on Yukon 1 West. Now my thought is that had I pulled over, she could have had an accomplice with a gun stick me up, steal my truck and my dog, and leave me stranded. So watch out for those bandits. I don't know if they're gonna pull a snatch and grab or what. Big grizzly bear. Hey, I'm in Alaska, more importantly America. Right when I got across the border, I figured there'd be some gasoline right across the border. Saw a sign that said gasoline a half a mile, but believe it or not, that gasoline station is destroyed, so no gasoline. So I'm gonna use my 5-gallon gasoline for the first time. Okay, finally got some fuel. The first fuel point is about 30 miles from the border, Northwest Junction, I believe I'm at. And it's amazing. It's a little less than $6 a gallon. On the other side of the border, roughly about $10 to $11 a gallon, depending on the gas station. So I took a little risk. I ended up saving money, but I'd encourage you to be careful. I was leaning back on the 5-gallon can. I'm gonna refill it. But anyway, yay, got some fuel. Okay, so from Destruction Bay all the way to the town of Talk in the States, in Alaska, is those whoopties and those giant potholes you gotta dodge. You gotta stay very alert through that. And boy, it's tiring. But then what you get after that, very long straightaway that's all leveled out, which is nice for the ride. But after you've already got exhausted from that, you need to stay awake and alert through all that straightness. Okay, gamers and YouTubers, You probably have proven how you can game, how you can YouTube, but I tell you what, are you living it up? Are you living? You can game, but are you living? Check out this beauty. Listen to the water. It's awesome. You're missing out. Get out here, man. Travel Alberta, British Columbia, the Yukon, Alaska. Get out in nature, it's waiting for you. The boy is gorgeous. And props to you, Mr. Beast, for getting all that support and planting all those trees. But check it out. All these here, these are all natural trees out here. They're gorgeous. Gorgeous. No trouble breathing out here. The air is fresh, clean. It's beautiful. Get out here and enjoy the great outdoors.